Welcome back. The bench tonight hosts Wajir County Governor and the Council of Governors Chairperson Ahmed Abdullahi ahead of the conference that is set to happen in the county of Homa Bay next week, themed for the people, for prosperity, the devolved system as a catalyst for equity, inclusion and social justice. Born out of Katiba 2010, promulgated and institutionalized first in 2013, tonight we are taking a progress report from the Council of Governors Chairperson. Lovely having you on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
And a pleasure for making time for the broadcast. Let's take the first instance here, Governor Ahmed, of whether the system has served or is serving its purpose, given that it devolved political power and economic resources from the center before we come to the functions.
I think it did. Largely, yes. The Kenyan devolution system is a very unique system. I actually haven't seen it anywhere else in my reading and in my trying to research on devolution, because it's created two parallel systems that both derive their sovereignty from the people, and their constitutional power is discerned and very clear that this is what counties do and this is what national government does. And in a sense, none really reports to the other. It's not like a federal system. So the counties, with respect to the functions that have been devolved, in spite of all the challenges of the resources and the fights about resources and whether resources have been devolved commensurately, I would say have done their functions. They've served their purpose.
Yeah. And talking about the purpose, a lot has happened since then, including the billions that the Exchequer has released to the respective 47 counties. Ideally, has it addressed or has there been remedial measures in the context of the political economy of the country, that the difference which kick-started after we promulgated Katiba of equity, justice, social justice in this case, and the theme around this year's conference, which will be happening in Homa Bay County, which is also under the thematic area of social justice?
If you look at the purposes of devolution, under Article 174, and there are about 9 of them, I think. There are 9 of them. Actually, only one of them talks about the issue of economic development. All the other 8 have got to do with, distributing power, citizenship, citizen participation, taking resources down to create a very cohesive country.
Yeah.
It's really something that was meant, if you ask me, according to my understanding, to address the mindset of a powerful, centralized nation state, which was what we had before the 2010 Constitution. And that heavily centralized and very powerful, top-down, nation state caused a lot of inequality. There were haves and have-nots. There was marginalization. There was inequity. And it kind of, discriminated or segregated according to quote-unquote potential. And this is clearly, stated in, or was stipulated in Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965. So what devolution tried to do is to try and address those, to carry everyone together, to create a Kenya where everyone has a stake. Whether it has equalized the country or whether it could equalize the country with the resources that it's getting is a matter of debate. But yes, it's taken services to every part of the country, it may not have fully addressed the inequity. It may not have fully equalized us. And that's largely because the pot of resources that is shared by the counties is about 10% of the annual budget. So 90% of the annual budget, and sometimes people confuse the annual budget with the shareable revenue or shareable revenue according to the last audited and approved accounts. Of the total annual budget, you get about 10%. If you look at what that 10% has done across the country, I can then say that, yes, it has met the purpose, largely, of decentralizing that political economy and, forcing some sort of cohesion. In fact, the noises now are at the center. And you can imagine if we didn't have counties, what the severity of the noises at the center would have been, right? But you can also imagine how we'll have deflated the noises at the center if we devolved 50% of the resources as opposed to 10%. So yes, it has really helped democratize and decentralize the political economy. Yeah,
and ideally, then hurtling towards the devolving of more resources, does then this bring into the picture, for example, what applies in the context of Nigeria, or for their system there? And how will more resources then take off the pressure at the center and the concentration, for instance, of what we see as the backlash of the political sentiments between representatives of the executive, whether in or out of power?
And if you want to know that there's actually need to devolve more resources and that it's a good thing to tell the Kenyan public, look at what happens in the run-up to the elections. Look at the manifesto of every single party that is close to power. Because usually there's two horses, right? If you look at the manifestos of those two horses and their, what they espouse in the run-up to the election, everyone talks of, giving the counties at least a minimum of 35%. Some even say 45%. But that's just said in the run-up to the election. The Nigerian model is three-tier. There's the federal, state, and the counties. The counties get 20%. The state gets 35%. And the federal gets 45%. The South African model is also 3 levels: the national, provincial, and the local authorities, which could be municipalities, urban areas, or other local authorities. And it's usually 55% for the devolved units and 45%. I think that's what I remember. So we are nowhere near that. And I think partly because of how the center has managed its resources since the promulgation of the new constitution. One of the things that's possibly denying counties their fair share of resources and is the question of public debt, which has ballooned over the period that we've had devolution. And if you look at Article 203, which talks about how resources should be shared vertically between the national and counties, one of the things that's got to be prioritized as a first charge is the repayment of public debt. We have raised this issue from the first cohort of governors, that national government is not managing public debt properly. Because we discussed these things in IBEC, we discussed this thing as part of the negotiations. Every time we ask for more money, national government will say, but you see how much you're spending on paying the national debt.
Yeah. And at the time, at the inception, when you're talking about that, it's when the first government after the promulgation of Katiba came in, and Kibaki left us with paltry, less than
6 trillion thereabout.
Yeah.
So over this period, we kept taking more debt. And if you look at how much the first cohort of governors in 2013 to 17 were negotiating for and counties have been allocated, it's way higher in terms of percentage. In absolute terms, the figure has increased. But in terms of percentage, 2013, we were at 22% of shareable revenue. Now we are at, give or take, 13% of shareable revenue. It may work out to a much higher percentage of the audited and approved accounts for the simple reason that we're always in arrears when it comes to the audited and approved accounts. This year, 2025, 2026, we're basing it on the 2021, 2022 audited and approved accounts. So if you're looking at how much counties are getting as a percentage of the floor that has been set in the Constitution of audited and approved accounts, it may look high. But in terms of the actual shareable revenue, or in terms of the current year's budget, it's a very small amount.
Yeah, and what does that then translate into? Because that is 4 financial years back.
It's about 26%, but it means nothing, really, because it's 26% of what is audited and approved 4 years back or 3 years back, 2021, 2020.
2022, I talked about financial year.
Yeah, so, and that's not what was envisaged in law. No one envisaged that the audit and approval will be 3 years, 4 years back in arrears. And we have always said that the question of public debt might have been used as a front-loading of the share of the national government. Because the national government will do this public debt largely for national government functions, and it's not equitable across all counties. If you were to audit where it was applied. But now what is to go into that equitable share pot, which is shareable, is then reduced on account of public debt, amongst other national interests. So I think this is the debate that we probably need to have. And it's not something that's just happened with the current regime. Probably a lot of the damage was done in the 10 years of Uhuru. And the current regime probably finds itself in a situation where they really can't run the country without the same level of public debt. We always talk of consolidation of public debt, but it's not that easy. And then, of course, there is the whole question of whether resources are following functions. Even with that said, we still believe there are resources relating to functions that have been devolved and transferred in national government ministries, departments, and agencies.
Okay.
Yes.
And these functions include health and education.
Health, agriculture, water, those are the main culprits, but across the board.
Okay. We'll talk about that because we have just scratched the surface to get an understanding of where we are ahead of the conference that will be happening in the county of Homa Bay. And when we get back from the break, chairperson and governor, then we'll talk about the functions. Ideally, then the case of what happened in 2020 in Nairobi County, where there are some functions that were transferred, and also the question of the exercising of the sovereign power at the county level. Today we had a case in the county of Kericho. We had one in your county in Wajir of course, with the tenure of your predecessor, as well as going forward, then the point of, again, accountability and what's happening at the national level and also at the county level, given the exchequer pumping billions into the counties and the, of course, service delivery, whether that is commensurate. All that will be happening here on the bench after the break. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Park University. As we open our doors for the September 2025 intake, we invite you to join our community where we train theologians, charismatic and professional leaders, communication specialists, psychologists, innovators, and change makers. Your future starts here. Apply now for September 2025 intake and be part of Park University legacy.
Checking these guys on the Uber borders. Wanna claim they ride smoother. People are getting soft around here. What's wrong with a few swabs and cuffs? Wait. Okay. It's just one mirror. There's another one.
Next time, skip the swabs and curves. Uber Boda, everything Uber, now on 2 wheels.
Welcome to Boma Mabati Factory, the 2024 award winner in roofing solutions. All our products come with warranty and are KEBS certified. Be part of our many satisfied customers by visiting us to enjoy great discounts. Boma Mabati Factory, Mabati Poa, near Boma.
Why do 7 out of 10 kids have cavities, sir? Because whatever this toothpaste has for cavity protection, isn't enough. Double Herbal contains clove. My mother says it contains eugenol, which is 100% effective in cavity protection. Where there's clove, there's no cavity.
Wacha nikwambie, KC Lemon and Ginger imeingia kama nothing you've ever tasted before. Ni ya watu flavorful, wale wana mix it up, watu wa luku, reggae leo, gengeton kesho. Jaribu KC Lemon and Ginger leo, 320 bob ya quarter na 840 ya mozinga. Inapatikana kwa lokoli yako au ke.thebar. Kenya Ken, the true Kenyan spirit since 1976.
We were in need of classes at a very fast rate. Traditional building method takes a lot of time. With SBS, we were able to build very good classrooms at a short amount of time. Juja is a very hot area. They explained to us about the cooling solution they have, and true to their word, the classes are very cool. Partnering with SBS enabled us to have excellent classrooms. We had confidence in them and they delivered.
SafBuild, a quality product from Safal Building Systems, a subsidiary of MRM.
There's a kind of bank assurance intermediary that really allows you to relax because you know you'll be good. That's Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary for you. Get covered real good through Coop Bank Assurance Intermediary.
Wacha nikwambie, KC Lemon and Ginger imeingia kama nothing you've ever tasted before. Ni ya watu flavorful, wale wana mix it up watu wa luku, reggae leo, gengeton kesho. Jaribu KC Lemon and Ginger leo, 320 bob ya quarter na 840 ya mozinga. Inapatikana kwa lokoli yako au ke.thebar. Kenya Ken, the true Kenyan spirit since 1976.
No, it's okay. I deserved it. I mean, of course you deserved it.
Jojo.
I have the courage of Jomo. I have the understanding of Moi. I have the education of Kibaki. And I have the plan we shared with Uhuru Kenyatta.
But he's not telling us he has got integrity.
Integrity shouldn't be outsourced until we stop falling for the same tired tricks and demand real accountability.
You have to trace this to where it started.
It's time to reassess our relationship with Kenya and others who forge tight bonds with China.
Some of our friends are complaining that we are doing too much trade with China. They have agreed to remove all the tariffs on our tea, on our coffee, on our avocado, and all other agricultural exports.
For me, it goes beyond diplomacy.
E-Citizen is not supposed to be operational. E-Citizen platform is a scam.
The whole thing is a crime scene.
It just points at inefficiencies in governance.
News Gang every Thursday at 9 p.m. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. You're watching JKL. On the bench tonight is the County Governor of Wajir, Ahmed Abdullahi, who as well doubles up as the chairperson of the Council of Governors, instrumental in the lead-up to the Devolution Conference 2025 in the county of Homa Bay next week. And Governor, let's now shift our attention to the devolving of functions minus the requisite finances that are required. And this is what you decried about as TOG, not you, also the other chairpersons as well. How has that journey progressed? And despite identification of the problem, is the prescription right?
The functions have now largely been devolved. There is a couple of concurrent functions, things to do with, for instance, reticulation of electricity and water. But largely, there could be components, few components of functions that are still with the national government. What is an issue for us is that the last big bang of transfer of functions, which was gazetted on the 16th of December 2024, and whose attendant resources we're supposed to start receiving from the 1st of July, we feel that the increase in the equitable share does not cover those functions. So this year, there were many figures that were floated. In our honest analysis by experts of how much we should have gotten based on those, latest or the last transferred functions, we came up with a figure of 536 billion. Senate, in their wisdom, had initially suggested and actually passed in their first draft, I suppose, 465, the first act. Then there was the unwritten but widely publicized suggestion by Baba as part of the MOU of 450
billion.
50 billion. But National Treasury came up with a figure of 405.
Okay.
And that's what National Assembly initially passed. And because there was a difference or conflicting figures between what the National Assembly had passed and what the Senate had passed, the law requires that they go into some mediation process. And the final outcome of the mediation process was 415. So they're at 10 billion.
Yeah.
That's nowhere near each of those initial figures.
Neither the 536 or
536 or 465 or the mentioned 450
by your party leader.
By my party leader. You've got to understand that the governors have no vote when it comes to the final determination of how much counties should get. They are part of the protracted negotiation process, which starts with CRA suggesting something, National Treasury suggesting something, COG coming up with something. We go into a discussion at IBEC, which then goes, to the Houses of Parliament. The National Assembly is generally very much pro-National Treasury because they believe that more resources should be left at the center. You do understand that the National Assembly is quasi-executive. The current National Assembly is quasi-executive. Why? Because of CDF, because of RMLF, because of their interest in lobbying for projects to their constituencies through the national government. So they will, out of practice, what we've seen, always side with the National Treasury. So our hope then is for Senate to suggest a much higher figure and to then hold on to it for negotiations at the mediation stage.
Okay.
CRA has also increasingly become more pro-National Treasury than pro the COG, frankly. I mean, the figures they suggested this year shocked us. They suggested 417.
Okay.
I mean, this is an independent commission that's supposed to recommend something decent, for counties. So these are the politics of the sharing of resources, and the question of whether then resources really follow functions. If resources were to truly follow functions, then we will not be having a lot of these national government agencies that are doing or duplicating functions that have been devolved and transferred. Do we need waterwork agencies, Northern Waterworks agencies? Do we need regional bodies? There were seniors, and a lot of these things soak up money that would actually have gone to counties. This is really the reality. But you've got to understand it in the context of where we're coming from.
Okay.
We're coming from a very centralized system where there was politics of tokenism, politics of patronage. So the center, and anyone would do, I think, will do its best to try and resist giving more resources to the counties.
Okay.
What then is supposed to be the safety valve for the counties is the Senate. As to whether the Senate has done that, I actually accept that they have been better than the National Assembly. But as to whether they've really stood up for counties with respect to the issue of resource, debatable.
Okay. So let's talk about also accountability measure, and this is the first tier, the county assemblies, meant to oversight the executive, for example, the one that you lead in Wajir County and also across the other 46 units. Have they been up to the task in this case with regards to accountability before we come to some of the reports that are documented regarding the management of the funds that the Exchequer does release? But are the county assemblies, and do the members of the county assemblies in this regard understand the power that they hold at that level, given the proximity of how power was devolved and their closeness to the people?
The assemblies are very powerful people. But as to whether they exercise that, responsibly, again, I suppose it will vary. Remember, there are 47 county governments. Yeah. And county governments are also political outfits. Assemblies are political outfits. And sometimes a lot depends on the local politics. But overall, what I'll tell you is the governor's position, the position of county governor, is the least protected position in our current political arrangement. It's actually very easy to get rid of a governor. Mm-hmm. Yes. All you need is, 2/3 of his assembly to vote him out, and a simple majority in the Senate. And we've had an instance where a governor was for the first time impeached even before she constituted her government, before she actually constituted her cabinet. That was Kawira's first.
Mm-hmm. Meru County.
Yeah, in Meru County. So I think there's a current debate now. A number of MPs have had their constituencies filing recall petitions against them. And IBC is saying there is no current law on impeachment. There isn't a current law on impeachment of governors as well. The only thing there is the constitutional mechanism which defines how a governor is to be removed, which is pretty much a replica of how a president is to be removed.
Okay.
Only that the first trial is done in the case of a governor by
the county assembly.
By the county assembly, and in the case of a president by the National Assembly. And then they both end up in the Senate and the county government with respect to the thresholds. But there is no impeachment law really. But how many governors have been impeached? Very many. Wambora was impeached 3 times, is it? Kawira also a couple of times. And my predecessor, Uiguru, was impeached. She got saved at the Senate. Mm-hmm. So the governor's position, and I think it's one of the ways of undermining devolution, is not protected. Frankly, it's not.
How would the president argue in that regard, if not protected? Because he's also subject to impeachment by the National Assembly, as you have mentioned.
And you see, probably the levers that the presidency has, governors don't have. Because people argue that impeachment is more of a political rather than a legal question. Should it really be a political question in the situation where the governor has been elected through universal suffrage? If it's a parliamentary system where you just are first among colleagues as a prime minister or someone of that nature, then it could well be that your friends don't like you or they don't think you're doing the right things and they remove you. But for a person who has directly been elected by the people and who, because has no authority in matters enforcement of law and order, mm-hmm. has no leverage, who has no party leverage. In fact, a lot of governors are impeached by people from the party. So the governors are constantly having to buy their peace at every level. You've got to appease your assembly members. They ask for things like ward funds, which the controller tells you are unconstitutional. You have to find a mechanism of taking some projects to the wards. So I think, of course, governors are also not insulated against the county politics. What I mean by county politics is the county politics at the national level. You just need to have one rogue member of parliament from your county to instigate all manner of problems for you. So we need to relook at the whole question of impeachment of governors. It is one of the most destabilizing things in our devolution setup.
Yeah. And then how should that be effected, given that you draw your power from the people through universal suffrage? How then should that institutional mechanism be made better?
Probably require at least a certain number of voters in that county, in my view, to actually require your removal. There should be some threshold. Frankly, as it is, governors can be removed over very flimsy reasons. They can be removed because of political fights, right? And then they've got to really fight for their survival at the Senate. Ayub, one day I hope to write a book about these things.
Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully then that will be...
At a time when I can say things as they are. Okay.
And which brings us on to the question of accountability after the break, Governor. That is also on what other officers, including the controller of budget, points out constantly across the counties. And in some instances, the outcome is rather very damning, especially on your peers across different counties, and we'll be talking about that and what needs to happen. The Senate is also another guardrail in the system of the architecture of governance that we have, and we'll be talking about that. And also your views on some of the calls by the Kenyan youth. Today, the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, said, yes, all these are taken into consideration and there must be a way out. Your party leaders proposed a national conclave, the format, how it should happen, how the voices will as well be considered and put into consideration is all that we'll be discussing after the break here, on the break, on the bench with the Council of Governors Chairperson. Stay tuned.
Forward-thinking leaders and professionals are gathering on August 7th and 8th at Daystar University's Nairobi campus under the theme Leading in the Era of Disruption. With over 500 delegates, over a dozen top exhibitors, and a lineup of 15 renowned speakers, secure your spot today. Delegate registration is 10,000 Kenya shillings and exhibition 50,000 Kenya shillings. Pay on M-Pesa till number 4093569, account Business Symposium. Let's lead the future together.
Infinix Hot 60 Pro Plus series. Thin yet everything.
A new day dawns. And with it come new opportunities. And behind it all is the bold, strong start you need with the rich, smooth taste of Nescafe Creamy White. Made with hand-selected coffee beans, perfectly balanced with creamer and sugar. This is a cup of Kujituma.
Welcome to Park University. As we open our doors for the September 2025 intake, we invite you to join our community where we train theologians, charismatic and professional leaders, communication specialists, psychologists, innovators, and change makers. Your future starts here. Apply now for September 2025 intake and be part of Park University legacy.
Wacha nikwambie, KC Lemon and Ginger imeingia kama nothing you've ever tasted before. Ni watu flavorful, wale wana mix it up watu wa luku, reggae leo, gengeton kesho. Jaribu KC Lemon and Ginger leo, 320 bob ya quarter na 840 ya mozinga. Inapatikana kwa lokoli yako au ke.thebar. Kenya Ken, the true Kenyan spirit since 1976.
Secure your future with a holistic plan of insurance, investments, trusts, and pensions to build lasting wealth and peace of mind.
That ensures my child's education, so he can become a future CEO.
Hey, Dad.
ICEA Lion has a plan for everyone. ICEA Lion, what's your plan?
Wacha nikwambie, KC Lemon and Ginger imeingia kama nothing you've ever tasted before. Ni watu flavorful, wale wana mix it up watu wa luku, reggae leo, gengeton kesho. Jaribu KC Lemon and Ginger leo, 320 bob ya quarter na 840 ya mozinga. Inapatikana kwa lokoli yako au ke.thebar. Kenya Ken, the true Kenyan spirit since 1976.
Introducing Wigo, your trusted ride. The ride with the most reliable, verified, efficient and transparent drivers. With fabulous cashback incentives for passengers, each trip on Wigo feels like an upgrade. Download Wigo from Play Store or App Store or SMS Wigo to 20425 and ride with confidence. Wigo, let's go.
I have the courage of Jomo. I have the understanding of Moi. I have the education of Kibaki. And I have the plan we shared with Uhuru Kenyatta.
But he's not telling us he has got integrity.
Integrity shouldn't be outsourced until you stop falling for the same tired tricks and demand real accountability.
You have to trace this to where it started.
It's time to reassess our relationship with Kenya and others who forge tight bonds with China.
Some of our friends are complaining that we are doing too much trade with China. They have agreed to remove all the tariffs on our tea, on our coffee, on our avocado, and all other agricultural exports.
For me, it goes beyond diplomacy.
E-Citizen is not supposed to be operation. E-Citizen platform is a scam.
The whole thing is a crime scene.
It just points at inefficiencies in governance.
News Gang every Thursday at 9 p.m. Don't miss it.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is JKL and on the bench tonight is the Council of Governors Chairperson and Wajir County Governor. Thanks for staying with us, Governor. And let's now, still on the same that we have talked about of accountability, there seems to be more focus at the national level when it comes to accountability, but there are also similar problems at the county level, as pointed out by officers headed by the good lady, including Dr. Margaret Nyakango, pointing out expenditure on travels, for instance, and the case of malfeasance generally. How can this be taken into account, and does it not add up to other challenges, and do they not need adequate attention to address them?
I'll agree with you that yes, there are various reports of accountability issues across both levels of government. But what you have to understand is that counties are a bureaucracy, just like the national government. In fact, our structural frame is a replica of the national bureaucracy. The governor is the chief executive, but he has ministers in the name of CECs. We call them county executive committee members. He has accounting officers in CCOs, county chief officers, and then there are directors, deputy directors, and all the dual levels up to the person on the shop floor. And the average county has, give or take, 4,000 to 5,000 workers. Some of the bigger ones have actually much more than that. So the governor is running a bureaucracy. And audits will always pick something. But the question is it really instances of theft or fraud, or it is a matter of procedure? So the materiality of the issue being raised is the question really here. And there can be 47 similar audit reports for the 47 counties. In fact, even the audit reports of 1 year might be different or materially different from what is in the previous year. As for the controller, the issues we have been having with the controller's report, and these are people I respect, they're my professional colleagues, not just as a governor myself, but as an accountant. The question of what is really the mandate of the controller. Is the controller also an auditor, right? Because the controller's main work ought to be authorizing release of funds against a budget. And this budget is approved, it's passed by the assembly, it's actually approved upfront at the beginning of the year by the controller. Why then should there be inordinate delays in approval of such requests if, you know, there's already an approved budget for it? So we feel that the counties are being subjected to two levels of audit. And we feel that the national government and their ministries, departments, and agencies do not have to go through the same stringent process for release of funds, which shouldn't be the case because the controller is controller for everybody. And this then causes delays in absorption of funds. There are already delays in the actual release by Treasury most of the time. This year, past year, they have done very well to try and release the last shilling before the midnight of 30th of June. In the past, many years before, I think, even since the Uhuru days, we've had money carried forward for the month of June to the next fiscal. So I believe that, first of all, yes, these are important structures. The Office of the Controller of Budget is an important cog in the wheel of running our finances and in the wheel of accountability. The Auditor General's Office is important. But we feel that there is, not only for those two offices, but generally for all independent offices and commissions, different treatment for county governments. On TV here, we see whenever there's an controller's report released, serialization of what that report says, it's sensationalized. A lot of those things are just prima facie audit queries, which then are cleared, and then you have to go to Senate to explain those things. And in Senate sometimes also, there's a lot of unnecessary drama, right? outside of, you know, what the issues are. So I think we could, as a country, do much better in depoliticizing oversight, in being less dramatic about accountability, so that our audits and our findings actually have more value in fixing the problem, in my view.
Okay. And then how, in your view, then should, being an accountant by profession, should the problems that are associated at the national equally reflect on the second tier of our governance model? And you consider they are very glaring in some instances. How can they be fixed going forward, given that it's a challenge that you appreciate as well?
When there is an audit finding, because there's a process in law of closing that audit query. There's a process in law. Whenever there's a draft audit finding, why does it get to the headlines? Whether it's for national government or for county government. So are we more interested in the sensational reporting so that we show the public that money is being stolen left, right, and center, which then weakens the confidence of the public in government, whether it's at county or... Why not take that through the due process to its very end, and then demand individual accountability, demand that, you know, further investigation in case there is need or in case there's fraud, and then prosecute the culprits under the due process of law. Because we make all manner of you know, political statements about audit queries and about matters controller without giving the respondent a right of reply. A lot of time the damage is already done. The public have already formed their own perceptions. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that we should weaken mechanisms of accountability. No, I'll be the last person to say that. Can we professionalize them more? Can we professionalize them more so that they have real value, you know, in tackling the problems we have? And Ayub, I will be frank to say that yes, there are a lot of challenges. Yeah, there are things that we shouldn't be seeing in this country. For instance, in universities, in a lot of counties, probably even in certain MDAs and national government, the question of deducting pension dues, but not remitting them to the fund managers. And then they build up into a liability. The whole question of pending bills, right? Counties are not supposed to run deficit budgets, so there shouldn't be an unnecessary build-up of pending bills. But you find yourself inheriting an account with a you know, recorded pending bill of 7 billion, 8 billion. How much of that is genuine? So there could be instances where the cycle has collapsed for a given county. On the other side, you'll find a county that closes the year with as little as 10 million shillings pending bill. So it's not one size fits all. Can we handle these things with less drama, more professionalism, and deeper investigations, right? Devoid of politics of the day, devoid of weaponization, right? Shouldn't depend on which side of the divide you are. It should be a finding that is, because from all counties, all manner of allegations are made every single day. So it's up to the oversight authority, be the EACC or audit,
the DCI.
Or DCI, whoever, to be professional, to then see these things to their logical conclusion without getting caught up in the politics of things.
Okay, and that brings us to the question of what happened in Nairobi in 2020 when 4 key functions were transferred to the national government under then Nairobi Metropolitan Services, which is envisioned by the Constitution. But ideally, what did that point to in your view? And is it a case where, for instance, today we had Kericho County Assembly, the impeachment of Governor Dr. Mutai, in Wajir County, your predecessor was also impeached, and the series of other impeachments that we have heard of Kawira Mwangaza and others. Ideally, does that then point to strengthening of the accountability mechanisms and oversight? And how should that then be strengthened if the second tier of governance is to be made one that works for the people, given the closeness to the voters?
I think there are two separate issues. Yeah. One is the question of accountability, maybe three. The question of what happened in Songo's reign. That was while I was away, I was an ordinary citizen, but I have my understanding of it. And then the whole question of impeachment. Let me start with impeachment. I think we need to handle impeachments better. We need to protect the dignity of office of governor while holding the governor accountable. A lot of the times, impeachments are as a result of local political fights. They are at times as a result of ego wars, either between the Assembly Speaker and the governor, or, as I said, since the county is also not insulated from national politics, and the people you have at national politics, whether you're a senator or you're members of parliament, have certain interests also in the running of the county, and sometimes it's personal interests, they can actually instigate impeachment for you. Sometimes it's got to do with succession politics, right? You want a guy out so that he's not there on election day. We've seen all this, and I can give examples. So the impeachment law ought to be clarified. It ought to have a tough subsidiary legislation, and it ought to be not too political. I have this debate with some of my friends, and they say, you know, if you have lost in 2/3 of your assembly, you lose the legitimacy to govern. And what if you have lost that legitimacy, not because you've done anything wrong according to the law, but because of political disagreements, right? I was involved in trying to solve the Makueni budget issue in the first term as chair of the Finance Committee of Council. And the Assembly was being unreasonable in the amount of money they were asking for. And the governor said, no, there is no money, that's for development. And they drove Professor Kivuda Kibwana to a point where he actually asked for the dissolution of the county. And we went to summit and voted for the dissolution of Makueni. And the process went full circle. And then at the end, when the report came to the president, because the president he can't stop the process once summit has passed, but he has the final word on it. And Uhuru said no. I mean, he called them together and said, guys, you're all going back to elections, will you sober up? And they sobered up. But look at what they took the governor through, right? So I'm not surprised that Kericho governor is also asking for dissolution of the county. He was in Senate the other day, and the Senate found that there was no case to impeach him, right? Those grudges sometimes linger. And people say, okay, let's do it again and again and again until we see them out. Like in the Kawira case. Let's be real. And I think this impeachment process is being abused, frankly, in many counties. As to Nairobi, the governor said he was not in his
right senses.
Right senses at the time he signed that document. I don't remember much of it really, but that was a peculiar arrangement. That there is a legal mechanism under the Constitution for one level of government to actually transfer a certain function to the other level. But the Nairobi case then, I think, was a special case. I don't have the full details of what it was, but what I remember is later on the governor reneged on what he had said. Yeah. And, one thing led to the other, and it led to his impeachment, which he later on fought in court. So, I think we should be tolerant in dealing with the county administrations. The nature of the democracy that we have is that, you have elected someone, yes. There could be issues. Impeachment should be the last safety valve. It shouldn't be the first thing that you start with. And if someone is so bad, there are other accountability mechanisms, and that's why elections are also held every 5 years. Okay. In the US, they elected Trump and removed him, and they found him worthy of returning. They have now returned him again, right? So that's what democracy is.
And he won all the swing states in the elections that put him back to the White House for the second time. Governor, coming to national politics, your party leader has proposed the national conclave. Today, the deputy president in Kilifi County also underscored the importance of Kenya's young voices who are calling for good governance and are putting the blame at the doorstep of the political class that you belong to. First, what's your view of the events of 2024 extending to 2025 and the conclave that Raila Odinga, your party leader, has called for?
Right. Before I give my views on that, I think there's a deeper problem, Ayub, in my view, as a student of governance. I think it's our political structure. We have a majoritarian democracy that's based on, one man, one woman, one vote, universal suffrage. And our party politics, they're not that, different ideologies that we espouse, right? We seem to be saying the same things. Like in most democracies where they have conservatives and liberals, or as the case of the US, they call their conservatives Republicans and their liberals Democrats. In our case, our manifestos are a replica of each other. So our politics is based on ethnic alliances and mobilization and personality cults, right? And the last couple of elections have been too close to call. And they have always been disputed. So, because a lot of these parties are special purpose vehicles for the purpose of bringing ethnic blocs together, when the personalities involved disagree midstream, it puts the government at risk of collapsing. This is what has been happening. And then the president, whoever is at the presidency, because the presidency is both of them anyway, but the president then has to find a way of stabilizing the boat. And what he has to do is to reach out to the opposition leader. Our stabilizer for the last couple of terms has been Raila Odinga. And I believe he's actually won a number of those, but wasn't declared. But he's required to stabilize government when things go haywire, or when there's disagreement in the ruling coalition. This has been the reality of our politics. So for me, the starting point really is for us to rethink the current structure. Can we have a structure that can better absorb shocks without putting the country into the risk of falling apart? Can we have a parliamentary system? Yeah. Because the Prime Minister then becomes just a first among equals. And if he's removed for whatever reason, then you do your alliances and coalitions within Parliament, and you can remove the Prime Minister as many times as you have to, and but still have the substratum of government working. Because now in this case, whenever there's political disagreement, then there is an attempt, as we saw, to actually run the president out of town. When people say they will visit State House and they will march to State House in their millions, would we want to end up with the Sudan situation? Do we want to end up with a lot of the situations we're seeing in a lot of these places? I did not vote for President Ruto. I voted for Raila Odinga. I've been ODM all through and through. But I think that the tolerable error, that's an accounting term, that is being allowed is very small. And I don't see why. He's not done any worse. Actually, from where I sit, he's done a lot better. Frankly. With all the activity there is, you can question, certain judgments and certain decisions and certain policies. You may not agree with them. But that's why the administration of the day then chooses what policies to implement. But having said that, his problems, to me, began with the impeachment of Rigathi, or the disagreement of Rigathi. As to what happened in 2024, my view is that it was initially a genuine, dissatisfaction with the tax regime that was being proposed, and one thing led to the other. The government was trying to do debt consolidation, trying to reduce, the debt to GDP by taxing Kenyans more, and Kenyans felt that they were being overtaxed, and the Gen Zs then, protested, but it was immediately, in my view, infiltrated by divisive politics and disagreement within the government. I mean, you saw what happened, that the president rescinded his decision, called his troops, and then an hour later, the deputy president then issues a press statement after his boss has issued one in Mombasa, and calls for the removal of the chief spy, the head of intelligence. Where does that happen in the world? Right? So it's the politics of things. It is the things people tell each other probably. It is the expectation gaps. And it is the nature of our majoritarian, ethnic-based, ethnic mobilized politics. We need to find a solution for that. As for the conclave, I think Raila has the moral authority. Because
how should it happen? What should be the format?
Look at it this way. Even in spite of our ethnically, mobilized special purpose vehicle parties that we have, ODM has existed for over 20 years. Raila has, what I call organic support across a number of places, a number of regions in this country. He has massive support in his base in Nyanza. He has, he's been having majority support in Western. He has majority support in Coast. He has very good support, majority support in Nairobi, has had, and also in the pastoral and peripheral north, he has, decent support. So, and he has always come to the aid of the country in stabilizing government.
Okay.
Some people might say he's opportunist and all that. That's part of politics, right? So, and I believe being where he is, he probably is one of the few people who can say it as it is, who doesn't have much to lose, and who has earned the moral authority to tell us how we can save Kenya.
Okay. So, Governor, let's, on that note, see what the viewers are saying, respond to some questions and clarifications that are sought by the viewers who are watching this broadcast. And the first one is from Ozanzu, that number. Great point, Ahmed. Devolution has definitely helped spread opportunities across Kenya. What's your take? Has it lived up to the promise of leveling the playing field?
In a large way, yes, it has. It has not equalized the country. But Ayub, let me just respond to that with one simple example.
Okay.
We had one medical doctor in Wajir in 2013. Today, I have 75 of them in my payroll, of which 22 or thereabout are consultants. And we have another 16 or so consultants that are studying now. That's in a short 13 years. And you can say across all counties, we have similar things that have happened. Devolution, in spite of the resources constraint that we have, has been a game changer. We need to just discuss how to strengthen it.
Okay. Next is from Mukhtar Khalif from Wajir County. He's from your county. I want to ask the chair of the COG, what is the problem between them and the control of budget to the extent that they can say that they are making petition for her removal when surely she is oversighting county funds? Does the chair of COG want to tell us that they can't be audited by the controller of budget?
I have nothing personal against the control of budget. The things as I say because I'm chair and we discuss them in COG meetings. Mm-hmm. And the COG, in fact, in his comment, he says, audited by the controller. The controller is not an auditor. That's why there's the office of the Auditor General. So all we're saying is it should be a facilitative office. And why should it be so hard to release money after we've done it for 13 years, and in each year we do it 12 times because funds are released monthly? Are we so dumb that we can't have learned anything in those 130-something releases? Can we make the process? Can we automate the process? Can we make it faster? Can it be facilitative? So it doesn't look like a punishment. It doesn't look like the counts have been discriminated. Those are the debates. We have nothing against the control of budget.
Okay. Next from Caleb Kenya, say, ask the COG chair, with the recent reports from EACC on corruption in counties, is this a confirmation that indeed devolution has not achieved its intended purpose, but has rather devolved the ills from the national government?
I've not seen the last report. I just saw about it in the media the other day.
Yeah.
But looking at the previous reports, when they say it's corruption in counties, it's actually all manner of corruption by both national government and county governments in the counties, which means it's about the police, about TSC, about everyone else, and about what counties also do. So unless I read the report, I'll not be able to know.
No.
Yeah. But as a society, we acknowledge that corruption or some level of corruption pervades every level of government and even the private sector and everywhere. And that's a problem for us as a country. Let's not weaponize the fight against corruption. Let the fight against corruption itself be corruption-free.
Yeah. Okelo Mwalimu says, can the COG chair comment on the notion that Kenyans are overrepresented as far as governance units are concerned? Secondly, what should be done to reduce administrative costs at the county level to ensure that the principle of maximum social benefit is actualized?
Right. I think that will be a good debate to have when and if a conclave happens. But you will reckon that the counties are service providers. So the operating costs of the county is also as a result of the services that they provide. Kenyans have a mindset of brick and mortar being development. But more brick and mortar also results in more operating costs because you have to operationalize them by taking people, you pay salaries, you pay electricity, and all that kind of thing. So yes, we should strive to reduce recurrent costs, but not all recurrent costs is bad.
And the next one from Majid Kataf says, kindly ask the governor about the 120 billion shillings pumped into Wajir County since the advent of devolution. It's
done a lot. Wajir County today, and I'm not sure about the figure of 120, but whatever it's been allocated, as I said, we had one doctor, we have 75. We had about 40 or so healthcare and facilities. Today, we're probably number 5 or 6 in the number of health facilities in Kenya at 174 licensed and registered. We had some odd 82 boreholes. We're running close to 400 boreholes. Wajir has no lakes, no rivers, so boreholes are our lifeline. Wajir probably has done the highest number of kilometers of tarmac out of devolved money, standard tarmac, for any county at close to 50 kilometers. Wajir town has changed. There are many villages. And the ECDs across the county, it has done so much. So sometimes I hear people say, why can't the governors of the region put money together and tarmac the road all the way from Isiolo to Mandera? They don't understand the cost structure of counties, how much goes into paying wages, how much remains for development. We can't do major trunk roads like those with devolved money. But what devolved money can do, I think Wajir, in spite of the challenges in the second term, is probably one of those counties that has something to show.
Sir Nixon Dugere says, Bona Ahmed, many governors have not been in good terms with their deputies to an extent of governors shielding their deputies so much that few people don't keep track of who their DG is. How best would you want that fixed or rectified?
I think the deputy cause is not a county problem. It's a country problem. Also because of the coalition mindset, right? And it's also not been helped by the fact that in many cases, when frivolous impeachment is instigated against the governor, then the deputy becomes a beneficiary. Those are some of the things that we need to change. But again, it's not across all counties. Many governors have no problem with their deputies.
Okay. Hassan Bajun says, through devolution, Wajir County has 22 medical specialists from 0 before devolution. Captain says, the governor has redefined what leadership means in Wajir, from health to roads, from water to agriculture, from drought relief to economic revival. He has touched every sector with purpose and precision. Ambulance services now reach even the farthest villages.
Thank you.
Hassan again says, strong internal control is central to our devolution success in Kenya. With the knowledge of audit and assurance, the chairperson's leadership is impactful in Kenya's devolution system. Well, that is the last one. Monica, my producer, says. Governor, starting this Thursday, all roads will be heading to Homa Bay County for the 2025 devolution conference. Your last word.
And first of all, to invite all Kenyans. There's still an opportunity to register between now and the 8th. Out of public demand, we extended the registration. This year's theme, as you've captured aptly, is about equity, inclusion, and social justice. I think it's a good time to discuss that, seeing the issues to do with youth. We also want to discuss opportunities for marginalized communities. The whole works of what is actually social justice and how counties can be catalysts. We usually have, policy experts. We have private sector. We have development partners. We have representatives of both national and county government. And we have the Senate, National Assembly, County Assembly, all Kenyans who are stakeholders of devolution. This is the premier conference or gathering where we discuss what has worked, what could work better. I think devolution, with all the things that I've said here, and with all the things we continue to say, has been the biggest blessing that Kenyans have gotten out of the 2010 Constitution. We should protect it, strengthen it. We should safeguard it. And this is an opportunity for stakeholders across the spectrum of the Kenyan society to come together and share ideas. I welcome you all to DEFCON 2025 in Homa Bay County.
Thank you, much appreciated. Asante sana for your presence and time here on the bench. It's the first time. The last time my colleague and senior Jeff did it in Wajir while on the road.
Yes, that was
your first time.
2013-17.
2014, I think, yeah.
About, yeah.
Lovely having you.
Thank you, Ayub. Thanks for having me.
And many thanks for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Well, we come to a close here on the broadcast, but a reminder that the national team will be in action tomorrow against Angola. Well, tomorrow will be in under 16 minutes' time. It's the second match of Group A, and the hosts will be again rolling up their sleeves for one proud Kenyan moment. So show up, please, for them. The match will be kick-starting from 7 p.m. and your presence will be valuable for the 11 players who will be representing this great country. Thanks for being a part of this broadcast, and we appreciate your company. Many thanks for watching this broadcast, and we'll see you next week here on the broadcast. Good night, and God bless you.